welcome to Autistic Changeling. Today I'm going to talk about Halloween because Halloween is coming up and I like Halloween. There's lots of other things I could be talking about this week. There's the fact that Niantic, which creates Pokemon Go, made a tweet supporting various charities that do ABA therapy, which is abusive and harmful. There's the memo, but I'm tired, you're tired, we're all tired, so I'm going to talk about Halloween, because that's what I was going to do before everything else happened. So, yeah, Halloween. It's fun, I like it. One of my favorite things about Halloween is the costumes, because it's a good way for me to work my special interests into things, you know. Doctor Who, obviously. I like Star Trek a lot. It's a big special interest. I sadly do not have a Star Trek costume. One day it's going to happen, just not yet. But I do have some other costumes, and I did get into them and do some little recording to show all of you. So, here we go. Alright, so those were just some of the costumes that I had on hand. I do actually have a couple of others that just weren't in commission right now because either I needed people to help me with safety pins and there weren't people available, or the parts of the costume involved pieces that I borrowed from other people and had to give back. So I'm working on that. But that was just a little fun piece to do. But, you know, seriously, Halloween's always been an important holiday, I guess, for me and the rest of my family growing up. You know, we would spend time together, putting candy into the bags to hand out to people, making costumes, watching movies and stuff. I think I've liked Halloween for a couple of reasons. One, you know, my family isn't Christian, and it's one of the few major holidays that's not government related and not related to Christianity. I mean, when you think about it, Halloween is one of the biggest secular holidays. So that was always a big bonus. But in addition to that, I always loved Halloween because I felt like it celebrated the things that were weird or usually considered wrong or unusual, you know. Like, those are the things that are celebrated around Halloween that aren't celebrated the rest of the time. And, you know, as an autistic, non-binary person who doesn't usually fit in very well, Halloween, you know, even if I didn't know those things about myself, was still a place where I felt like I fit in a little better. Because the whole point of Halloween is, well, probably different depending on the person you ask. But the whole point of it for me was to have fun and to celebrate the weird and unusual things that made things interesting, you know? Like, to pick costumes when I was a kid, one of the ways that I always enjoyed doing that was going to the secondhand store and looking for the weirdest clothing that I could find, which coincidentally is also how I got my Cecil costume that you just saw. Just go to the store, find the most colorful, fun things that I could find and put them into an outfit. I do wear that top separately. The pants I don't, because they don't actually fit, but they're too short, but that's okay. But yeah, that was always something I liked. It was fun. It doesn't have to really be something, you know. I know that it's popular to ask, like, so what are you supposed to be when you see someone in a costume? And yeah, most costumes are based around being something, you know, like this one is the 11th Doctor, and you saw the other costumes I had. But it can also be fun to just find something and then put a word to it later. Like I did at one point, I was like, I don't know, 10 maybe. I found this fun sequin-covered bodysuit. It was sparkly and shiny, and I think I said I was a lightning fairy, but really I just liked the bodysuit. You know, and that was fun. It's a good chance to mess around with, you know, fun and outlandish styles that you wouldn't normally wear. Stimmy clothing that you really don't have a way to wear to other places unless you have a conveniently accessible Renaissance fair, or like conventions and stuff. But, you know, Halloween doesn't require you to pay an entrance fee. And I always liked that. And, you know, like the Addams Family, that's always a great, you know, thing that, like, sort of shows people who don't fit into society as being, like, the main characters and the good people. I don't know. I really like that about Halloween. And I feel like some of the social rules are a little bit less, like, they're bent a little. It's more usual to bend them a little on Halloween, you know? Like, it's easier to get away with breaking gender conventions or with just being a little weird because it's Halloween and that's what it's for, and that sort of thing. So I always sort of liked that as well. From an autistic perspective, yeah, there can be sensory issues with costumes and stuff. For me, it's worth it because I really enjoy costumes and pretending to be someone else for a while and acting, and I was in, like, drama club in high school and whatever. I enjoy doing that kind of thing. I can see how it's sort of a problem sometimes, you know, depending on what you do with your costume. That's why I tend to make costumes out of clothing that I would normally wear. Because that way it's something that I know I'm okay with wearing. I don't mind face paint. I can see how some people might find it a little bit too much. I wouldn't wear face paint, like, all the time. I don't even wear makeup, like, most of the time. I do wear makeup for costumes, and I do wear contact lenses for costumes, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, because if I weren't wearing my glasses, my eyes would be crossing. They do that if I don't wear my glasses. It's really annoying. I don't like contact lenses. I only wear them for costumes. And I usually bring my glasses with me in case halfway through the day my eyes start hurting and I have to take them out and put the glasses on. So, you know, stuff like that is important to keep in mind. And I think the solution for basically everything that could be a potential sensory issue, that's an optional thing, is to just make sure that you can stop doing it if it starts to become too much. You know, like if you wear a costume to a party or something, you don't have to actually stay in costume the whole time. You can have the fun of showing up in the costume and showing everybody and stuff, and then if it starts to become too much of a sensory issue, you can go change into normal clothing. Like, you don't have to stick through it the whole night just because you said you were going to, you know. So, you know, just, it's okay to back out if something becomes too much of a sensory issue. As a kid, I think we were pretty good about finding costumes that were all right to wear for the duration of trick-or-treating. Although, you know, I did grow up in maritime Canada, so the primary concern with costumes was, is it going to be warm enough? Because October in the Maritimes is significantly colder than October where I am now, which is an undisclosed location. I'm not giving you that information. But anyway, so I always sort of enjoyed that. You know, you get back and you sort out all of the candy and you organize it into little piles, or maybe that was just me. That might have been an autistic thing in retrospect, sorting and organizing all the candy kind of meticulously like that. And then, you know, I would trade it with my brother, because I have a brother. Did I mention? I think I might have mentioned that in the video with my mom. Anyway, we would trade candy and, you know, it was fun. And I always liked that. I know that nowadays it's becoming more popular to do, like, the trunk-or-treating style things instead of, like, door-to-door trick-or-treating. I actually didn't even get any Halloween candy for trick-or-treaters because I didn't get any last year. I don't think I'm getting any this year. I live in an apartment complex. It's not like you really get trick-or-treaters. But, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I don't have much of an opinion about that because I'm an adult now. Like, it's not like I still go door-to-door trick-or-treating. But I always enjoyed that as a kid, and, you know, seeing the smoke and, like, from the fog machines and stuff, that was always fun. I think there's just so many aspects of Halloween which can be very stimmy, which I always really appreciated, between, like, glittery things and the smoke machines and, you know, the cool lighting and stuff. It can be a little overwhelming, but, you know, as long as you keep an eye on yourself and you know your limits, it can be fun. And I do think that it's important to remember sometimes that, you know, people can do things that are a little overwhelming or a little bit too intense, like, to be sustainable in the long term, and can have fun with them, you know, like, if you know your boundaries. It's not like you have to be overprotective of, you know, if you know an autistic person, like, let them, you know, explore their own boundaries and push things a little if they feel like they can handle doing that. You know, I mean, it's not a good idea to push your limits on a regular basis at college, but for, you know, Halloween night, like, it can be okay. Just, you know, remember to take care of yourself. So, that's basically what I have to say about Halloween. It's fun. I like it. I like dressing up. I like exploring fun outfits and bringing my special interest into things and celebrating things that are strange and unusual and breaking social norms. And I hope that all of you have a fun Halloween night and enjoy yourselves. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more. You can hit the little bell for the notifications. I always forget to hit the bell. So, if you want those, hit the bell. And I hope you all have a great day.